you hear drivers say you got to race that racetrack instead of racing the competition. There's truth to that.
This kid is just different at 19 years old.
I think the playoffs has brought a lot of excitement to our sport. You know, it keeps us relevant from a playoffs perspective. But I do think there are things that could be tweaked.
Welcome on to the Backstretch. I'm News 5's Heather Williams, and the playoffs are here. Feels like the season has just flown by, but we are down to the final 16 drivers that will compete for a NASCAR championship. Alex Bowman sneaking in, grabbing that final playoff spot at Daytona. I asked him at NASCAR Media Day if the time after he wrecked early on in Daytona, that next couple of hours, if that was the most excruciating 2 hours of his life.
I would say it was really just the last 5 or 10 laps. I got pretty anxious, but yeah, glad it all worked out. It was an interesting thing to have to sit through, but glad to come out on the good side of things.
Also this week at NASCAR Media Day, I had a chance to talk to Denny Hamlin. He's never won a championship. He started really strong. He's kind of faded going into the playoffs. So I asked him, you know, is there pressure? He's got a lot going on. Is there pressure this year to finally get that championship?
If I do, I do. I don't. I hate to be nonchalant about it, but it's just my goals have shifted into winning as many races as I possibly can. With the format being the format and so many variables and wild cards, I'm not going to hang my accomplishments on what happens when you roll the dice, right? I want to say over the long haul, over my 20-plus year career, I was able to win a lot of races, and that is the sample size that shows whether you're great or not.
And of course, William Byron is the regular season champ. So how's he feeling going into the postseason?
I think it just means we've had a good year so far. I feel like we've been doing a good job, week to week, and I think that shows in the points. So, yeah, I'm proud of how we've done in the regular season, but I know that it's a different season now.
So coming up on the Backstretch, we're going to talk, of course, more about the playoffs with our crew chief, Chris Carrier. He's going to share his thoughts on what this is going to be like, what happened at Daytona, as well as kind of look forward to who we need to be watching in the playoffs, and also look ahead to this week's race at Darlington. Chris is old school, so of course the Lady in Black, the Southern 500, one of his favorite races. So it's fun to talk to Chris and see his eyes light up whenever you mention Darlington Raceway. Also going to have kind of a short snippet from a interview I did a couple of weeks ago with Austin Dillon. I'll probably leave parts of it in there that are a little dated, but I thought it was important to share because Austin is a interesting figure going into the playoffs. He's been in the playoffs several times. He's getting, late in his career, mid-30s now. Is being a playoff driver enough? Is it enough for him? Is it enough for RCR? And also, what are his thoughts on the playoffs in general? So, quick conversation, but just thought it would be good to share some of my back and forth with Austin, like I said, from a couple of weeks ago. All right, let's get this rolling. Joining us now is our crew chief, Chris Carrier, who's also the crew chief for the number 75 Food Country Truck in the Craftsman Truck Series. The field is now set for the NASCAR playoffs. Tyler Reddick and Alex Bowman grabbed the final 2 spots. Yeah. There's really no clear-cut favorite when we're talking about the playoffs. So let me ask you this instead. Which drivers are you keeping your eye on?
Wow, Heather, that's tough. There's a little part of me over here that remembers the last 2 or 3 years here, and we've had this kind of lull from the Penske guys in the middle of the season, and they've been pretty quiet. They hadn't made a lot of noise. They haven't, been real successful for whatever reasons, this, that, and other. And then here in the last, what do you think, 3 or 4 races? Mm-hmm. They've kind of like showed back up.
Well, if I'm picking the Penske guys, it's Blaney. Blaney showed back up.
Blaney, I think it's time for him. I think he's primed for this, and I think that company would like him to win the championship. Now, all 3 of their drivers are in it, and the 22 got spun out right there. He kind of, to be honest with you, with about what was about 15 laps to go, looked like he might be the guy. Austin Cindric ran really good all night. He has really upped his game consistently since this time last year. He is going to be a player because he's good everywhere. He's good at speedways. You got Talladega. He's a good road racer. You got the Roval, so don't count him out. The Penske, the Fords, here they come again. About the time you count them out, they show up and they're like, oh man, they're pretty fast. So they know when playoff time is. You know, I think about Christopher Bell. I think about Denny Hamlin. The Hendrick guys. It's tough to tell because these guys are all with the superpower race teams. They know how to do this. They know what it takes. They are going to throw their best, absolute best in the playoffs. And don't think they haven't been saving it. They have been saving it through some of the ones that were in the playoffs. They're sitting back, okay, we're in, we're like this, you know, we're okay. Playing the same game as Penske played the last couple of years, and then they're going to show up and grab the bat and hit it over out in the street somewheres. I really think this is going to be the most exciting, unpredictable playoff series we've had.
Well, let me give you two names
Okay.
of people that nobody thinks is going to make out of the first round, or very few people think, and make my case as to why I think both of them could.
Okay.
The first one is Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yep.
He's got 16 bonus points or something like that.
I think so.
No, he's 16th the good. He has 20-something bonus points. Second most or third most. As long as he keeps his nose clean and doesn't get caught up in a huge wreck, he can get through to the next round just on that alone. The other one, and you're probably gonna look at me like I'm crazy, is Josh Berry. And the reason I say this, look at the tracks that are in the first round. Darlington, St. Louis, and Bristol.
Those are good tracks for him.
He's a short track
And
racer.
now he's in the Wood Brothers car, which is an honor. But let's be real.
It's a Penske
He's
car.
another Penske car, and he's another guy that he won a race kind of early in the year. He's real competitive, everything like that. And then he was kind of they weren't terrible, but they just weren't like what do you think Roger Penske team is the level it's supposed to be? But you got to remember the last 2 years and who won the championship? Penske.
Right.
So they did the same thing, and I think all four of those guys are going to be. And I agree with you on Van Gisbergen. That guy is working his tail off to get better at ovals and short tracks and intermediate or super speedway races. He is. That guy is tenacious. He's not going to give up. He's not going to stand back and say, well, I'm going to win all the road races, but I'll just be second fiddle in the oval race. He's not going to do that. He's going to learn everything he can. He's had some good finishes here lately, as of late, to go along with knowing that he can stomp a mud hole in them when it comes to road races. And I don't know. I'm glad I'm not a betting man, and because I would probably lose everything I had. I'm double happy I'm not a drinking man, because then I'd lose everything I had. So this is going to be, to me, it's going to be exciting. It's going to see who can step up and give that best stuff, and it's also the drivers. They've got to step up and give their best effort. They have to be 100% mentally, psychologically, and physically prepared for these races, and it's going to be a grind of itself. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them. There's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of, brain sessions with their crew chiefs and their race engineers, or how are we going to approach this race? What have we got to do? What do we expect? How do we prepare for those expectations to make our race cars fast? A mix of tracks, everything. You got a little bit of everything. Man, and it starts with Darlington.
It does start with Darlington.
How great.
We're going to talk about Darlington a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Before we talk about Darlington, I want to talk about two other big things that went on at Daytona.
Okay.
The first is Dodge is coming back in the truck series, bringing back the Ram with Kaulig Racing as its flagship team.
Yep.
And then Connor Zilisch is moving up to the Cup Series next year. Two of the worst kept secrets in the garage. I think everybody knew that these things were going to happen. But let's start with Zilisch. And just at 19 years old, what an incredible talent he is. What do you think about him moving at 19 to the Cup Series?
If I would say first, my initial reaction would say, man, it's too early. Keep him in Xfinity. Let him dominate that series another year. Let him get get him in 5 Cup races or whatever. But I stop to say that I stop. I'm not going to stay with that story because this young man is. They keep saying generational talent. That's for sure. He's come along. This is once in a generation. He's unbelievable.
But it's not just the talent, right?
No,
it's the maturity
it's
level.
The maturity
and
level.
that's why when you started to say that story, I was going to interrupt you. I'm glad I let you finish because for most 19-year-olds, they probably aren't ready. You look at the ups and downs that like Joey Logano and Kyle Busch had, and they eventually found their way, and both are champions, multiple-time champions. But this kid is just different at 19 years old than either one of them were.
It beats anything that I've seen. Really, to me, not only in race car drivers, but professional athletes of other sports. I mean, we've seen guys come in to, I don't like the term stick and ball sports, but that's what we'll say, basketball, football, baseball, whatever. And come in young, come in right out of high school, which I don't like. But they get a lot of stuff thrown at them that they haven't experienced yet. They had no chance to experience people that come at them with good intentions, and also people that come at them with not so good intentions for the individual. They come at them with what can I get for myself, and if I make a fool out of you, that's fine. It's a lot of pressure. It's things that it's even in racing, the level of racing that goes on in the Cup Series. I mean, from green flag to checker flag, every week, every race, every qualifying, every practice, everything about it is competitive as you can imagine. And most guys can't handle this, but this young man is just, I'm really curious, I'm interested, I'm excited to watch and see how he does. And, he's a good road racer too. Let's don't take away, but.
He's the only guy that's beaten SVG this year except for, I guess, Daniel Suarez beat him in
Daniel Suarez
Mexico.
won at Mexico.
And Christopher Bell at Coda.
Right, but this guy, I don't know. He's going to Trackhouse. I think that's going to be good equipment. He's going to have 2 good teammates. I think his equipment is there, and I think that he will have a chance to win some races. He'll have equipment and people and funding and so on and so forth and backing and all this stuff, resources that he'll be put in a position to where, yes, he could win races if everything goes well and if he does his job. I got a feeling he's going to do his job, and I think next year about this time we're going to be sitting here with our mouths open, saying, "How in the world?" So I hope I hope he has a little better luck next year, keeping well. Now Talladega race early in the year was a vicious hit, and the fact that he hurt his back, just I have a lot of back problems and stuff. I'm thinking, oh man, not already at 19 years old. Now the Watkins Glen fiasco was just a really weird thing. He's lucky he didn't get hit worse than he did. But we're going to watch Connor Zilisch. I'm telling you.
And I'll tell you this, and then we're going to move on to Kaulig. But if nothing else, he'll make road racing a little more interesting to give SVG a little bit of competition.
He'll be clawing on SVG's back a lot of times, and you'll see. Hopefully, he will probably make Cup road races a little more interesting, not just watching how far Shane Van Gisbergen wins the race by. Hopefully this young man will be well. I hope so. He's a good young man. He has great attitude. He's a nice young man. There's no arrogance about him. thank goodness. And he's fun to watch. He's fun to be around. He will be a marketing pleasure. So we'll stand back and watch and see. I think we have a privilege to watch this. You know, I'm glad I can.
So the other thing that happened was the Kaulig announcement. Real quickly, this is big for the Truck Series, right? Because numbers are always a concern of teams, and now you're going to get, what, 5 new trucks in the series?
They're talking about having 5, and I'm not really, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure on the particulars of it, but from what I hear, there's got to be plenty of funding that is available, and I don't know who the drivers are going to be. I've heard rumors and this, that, and the other, but I don't know. I just got a feeling the way this, Dodge has been in Truck Series before, way back, and they were very competitive. They won a lot of races. They knew how to do it. They came in. It kind of hurt my heart a little bit when they left NASCAR racing. I think it did a lot of people's, because they were, you know, Chrysler products were, you know, Richard Petty won a lot of races with them, and it was something everybody thought would be there forever, and it didn't. So I'm glad they're coming back. I'm glad they're going to be in the series. My prediction is that it will go well, and I don't think this is going to be the last new car company you see. Maybe by the next decade they'll be in it. So I think it's going to open the door for some more good stuff. I think they're going to do a good job with it. They got a good team with Kaulig Racing. They got good people. They know how to succeed. They're going to be fine. And I just think that I'm interested to see just exactly how it goes about. You know, I think it's going to be a cool deal. I'm glad to see it.
As Chris would say, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
This week, we opened up the playoffs at the track Too Tough to Tame. I saw your eyes light up earlier when we mentioned the old lady in black.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
why is she so tough?
It was a track. Basically, the bottom line was it was a track that was built, let's see, what's the math, 70-some years ago now, I believe, whatever, a long time ago. They built it in a tract of land that they had to actually, you know, change the layout of the racetrack because there was a pond or a swamp or something where had something, a species of something in it that was about extinct, so they had to kind of move around that. That's why the track is not symmetrical. The track was built to start with for cars to run about 60, 70 miles an hour on. And as I understand it, I wasn't there, I'm not that old, but the banking actually, the banking in the turns was actually intended for people to have kind of a runoff before they hit the wall, because it was intended for the cars to run down on what we call the apron. So that is very narrow. In the history of that track is throughout the history, every time they've resurfaced it, paved it, or whatever, it'll be real grippy, real fast, you know, for about a few laps, and then the tires will fall off. Now that with every year, the lap times and the tire grip falls way off really quick, and those cars become a handful just to keep from hitting the wall. And you hear drivers say you got to race that racetrack instead of racing the competition. There's truth to that, and you got to get it in your head. You get a rhythm, and you slide up there to that, you know, this far away from the wall, and both corners at different parts of the corner. You carry speed at different parts of the corner on each end. The lines are all different and everything, and as the tires wear out, you try to do the same thing, and all of a sudden, nope, car won't stick there, and you're in the wall. So most of the time, it's a deal to where most all the cars, by the time the race is over, has what they call the Darlington stripe. And if you look around the walls in the turns, everything that was white and red, nice and pretty and neat and everything like that, has got tire black all over it, you know, all the way around. You're thinking, why don't they update this place? But it is, I think it is the biggest challenge to the drivers that we have on our circuit, to their abilities and their abilities to run the entire race and keep their cars going, not in the wall, not ruin their night by getting in the wall too hard, bending suspension, knocking the body off of it, and all this stuff like that. You got to race the competition, but you still got to remember where that wall is, and it's going to be there, and it's going to show up. And I don't know, my brother used to say that he thought the Grim Reaper lived outside turn 4, that he would just reach out there and grab somebody and pull them in the wall. And I'm not so sure that's not true, but it's exciting. I tell you, whoever comes out of Darlington winning the Cup race, they will have their chest stuck out. And they know they got a reason, and everybody wants to do that. So I'm glad it's the first, I'm glad it's in the playoffs. I'm glad it's the first one. The only thing would be better for me if it was the last one. Think about that, Ben Kennedy.
Maybe they'll be in the rotation.
Maybe, you never know.
Guys talk about sim all the time. In this era where you get 20 minutes of practice, how critical is that sim time for you guys?
No, I mean, it's very, very critical. I mean, if you come to the track and you unload and you're not where you need to be, it's hard to make the car much better because your springs and shocks are locked in. Your adjustments are very minute. So you got to be close when you unload.
So as we're getting down now to the final 2 races before the playoffs begin, and again, 2 really good races for you, but does it change at all the way that you guys race? I mean, not just you, but everyone. Is there more desperation in the guys that are trying to get in?
Always, I mean, there's only 2 opportunities left, and that's a game changer for your season if you can get a win. And so you're trying your hardest and trying to get the most out of those 2 weekends you can.
So given that, do you like, there's so much talk about this. Do you like the playoffs? Do you like the way that we're doing this? Or would you rather see go back to the chase or even full season points? Where's your head on that?
I mean, I think the playoffs has brought a lot of excitement to our sport. It keeps us relevant from a playoffs perspective. But I do think there are things that could be tweaked to make it more about the person that is the best overall during the season. You got guys that shine their light at different points in the season. That's great. But when it comes down to, you want your champion to be the person who performed the best over the entirety of the year, because this is a long body of work that gets put in. And but in other sports, sometimes the best team at the beginning of the season isn't the best at the end of the season.
Is that true in racing? I mean, sometimes the best team maybe the best, I don't even know how to ask this question.
Yeah.
The most deserving team maybe started poorly, got a big points hole. I mean, is that true in racing, or can that be true in racing too?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think everybody hopes to be able to turn around a difficult start and showcase what their ability is from the car standpoint and the driver standpoint. So, you go through stretches where you're struggling and you're looking for speed or looking for something, and then you might find something and be able to take off. I think the hardest part about the playoff system lately has been the track has been Phoenix at the end of the year, and there's been one team that dominates that track, and that's been Penske. So if they get there, they're tough to beat. But that's kudos to them, and everybody else is kind of chasing that from a championship perspective. But they still got to get there, and they do a great job of doing that.
For my final thought, I'm going to head back to the playoffs. It's pretty much the dominant headline right now in NASCAR, other than the NASCAR 2311 Front Row Motorsports lawsuit. Since I wasn't in court, and there are people that can certainly address what's going on better than me, I'm going to stay away from that. It is fascinating. And I encourage you to find your favorite NASCAR reporter who's following that, so you can kind of keep up with it, because I think it could have a huge impact on the sport. But I don't want to talk about that because it's a little bit out of my depth. I do have an undergraduate degree in law, but I don't really know the specifics of this case. I haven't really read a lot. So I'm just going to leave that over here for now. We might come back to it eventually at some point on this podcast. Probably will. But I want to talk about the playoffs. And it kind of ties into that a little bit, because when I look at who I think could really make a run in the playoffs and bring home the championship, the first guy that comes to mind for me, the guy who I think has set himself up the best to be hoisting the Bill France Trophy at the end of the year, is Ryan Blaney. He's very consistent, and then he's not consistent. Very early on, he had a lot of DNFs. But then found consistency, found speed, found staying out of trouble, and found wins, and is running about as well as anyone right now. And the playoffs track set up so well for him. He's so good at a number of these tracks. He's won at he's won at the Roval. He's run at Talladega. He's obviously won at Phoenix. I just think that he's won at Martinsville. I just think that he could really maneuver his way through the playoffs and is a really good position to do that. So I want to keep an eye on Blaney because I think he's probably the favorite for the championship. His teammate Joey Logano is also always up there, but it's not an even year, so it's not Joey's year. I also really like Denny Hamlin, and that's where we get back to the lawsuit because how interesting would it be to have Steve O'Donnell hand Denny Hamlin the trophy, a guy that in a couple of weeks after that interaction would happen, they're going to be fierce back and forth, and there's already been fierce back and forth in court between NASCAR and Hamlin's team. God, that would be good chaos, and you know how much I love chaos, so I think that'd be really good. But he's running well, and I think also for him, the track set up really well. Bristol, Darlington, Martinsville. I think there's a chance if he can get through that round of 8, seems to be where he trips up a little bit and where he loses ground in trying to get to the championship 4. But Denny Hamlin definitely one to keep an eye on. And then my dark horse sleeper. Talked to Austin Dillon. Austin feels really good. There's some good tracks in for Austin, but my dark horse sleeper for round 1 of the playoffs isn't Austin. For round 1 of the playoffs, my dark horse sleeper is Josh Berry. Darlington, Gateway, Bristol. Those are all in Josh's wheelhouse. And, oh, by the way, he's a Penske-affiliated car. And we know how good Penske is in the playoffs. So keep your eye on Josh Berry. He could be someone to watch for sure. Thanks for joining us on the Backstretch. We'll see you next week.